Hey, are you a recruiter and you are doing 100 calls per day, 120 calls per day, 80 calls per day, 60 calls per day, or 40 calls per day? Puzzled? Yes, even I'm puzzled to see the job postings when they say 100 calls per day. Yes, a recruiter has to do 100 calls per day. Even I am out of my mind by watching that, right? So today we would be discussing something very interesting, and that is how many calls a recruiter has to do, right? Hello everyone, this is Sugandha and you're watching Ready for SS English, and I hope so you all are well and you all are waiting for my sessions and you all are watching my sessions. If you're not watching, please go to the playlist section and visit HR playlist, and there you can get so many sessions which I've already posted, right? And if you know Hindi language, then you can go to my other channel that is in Hindi language, that is Ready to Get Update. You can find it over here in the featured section on this channel only. If you don't get the link, you can ask me for the link and you can visit so many sessions over there. There are around 200 plus sessions on HR only, right? And I'm posting here also because there was some issue with the language, right? So today we would be discussing how many calls we have to make as a recruiter. Now, before going into that, how many calls, exact number, I would like to discuss few things with you because I can't give you a number. We can decide it together, right? So let's discuss, let's take few examples, and then it will be interesting, that it will be easy to understand that how many calls we can do as a recruiter. Fine. So let's take an example of 8 hours per day. Like our office hours are for 8 hours, right? And 8 hours into 60 minutes. That will, no. What I'll do is 8 hours are there and I would be deducting simple 1 hour for what purposes? For logging in, logging out, for going washroom, lunch, breakfast, everything. That 10 minutes that I have kept it 1 hour I have deducted simply, right? So there will be 7 hours. Now 7 hours into 60 minutes, what will come? 420 hours. You can see over here, right? 420 hours. We have 420 hours for calling only, okay? Now how we have to call and what all we have to speak in the call, you can see in the recruiter calling script, right? I have already posted three calling scripts, so you can see from there that how you have to call, what all conversation you can do while you're doing screening or you are doing cold calling, right? So we have 420 hours. Now if we would be giving 10 minutes call to a person, to a candidate, to a job seeker. Now 10 minutes is an average call. It could be 5 minutes, it could be 15 minutes, right? In and out, 15 or 5 minutes, okay? I'm giving 10-minute average because you need to interact a lot. You need to ask so many things about experience, qualification, interested, non-interested, location, lot more thing, okay? So at least at an average, we can say 5 minutes less or 5 minutes more. So 5 to 15, so it could be 10 minutes at an average. So if we would be deducting, if we would be dividing 420 with 10, how many calls we can do? That is simply 42, right? Only 42 calls. Okay, and I have taken that average also, 5 minutes low and 5 minutes up, right? So if we want to do effective calling of 10 minutes around, we can do how much calls? 42 calls. I know this is a very less number and you might be thinking we are doing 100 calls, we are doing 80 calls. But what is the ratio of, what is the ratio? What is the positive ratio? I wanted to know from you, right? So you can write your comments in the comments section. I would love to read it because I wanted to know how you people are doing it, right? Now let's take another example because this was 10 minutes and 10 minutes could be a big call, okay? Means you can say 10-minute call is a high duration call or it's a long call, okay? We can name it anyway. Now let's take an example of 5-minute call. Now simply do one thing. What? Divide 420 by 5. That will come out to be 84. Now since you have converged only for the 5 minutes, then there are chances that you have missed out few things. Or it could be that a candidate would be saying, I would be talking after 4 o'clock, I would be talking after 5 o'clock, or rest I will be discussing later on. So you have to give them a second call. So let's deduct 20 calls like this. Okay, let's deduct 20 calls in this. So it will come out to be 64, right? And this 5 minute call can be a 3 minute call or 7 minutes call that we can take, 2 minutes upper and 2 minutes lower. So it will come out to be 64, right? And we have taken 10 minutes call to be 42. Now if I stretch that 42 to certain limit, more certain limit, that 8 minutes or 7 minutes I have done, even if I do it that way speedily or something like that, I can say that yes, in 7 minutes only I had a good conversation or something like that. Then also I can stretch it up to 50 or 55. It could be 55, that 10 minutes call, right? And 55 calls, and this is 64. So what range we are getting? I would be talking about the range. What range we are getting? We are getting a range from 42 to 64. 10, 15, 20 calls are there in mid based on time duration. So if we talk about effective calling, if we talk about positive calls, if we talk about turn-ups, then how many calls can be there? We can say from 45 to 60 calls can be good, pretty enough if we are taking information, if we are taking pretty good amount of information from the candidate, from the job seeker, especially when we are talking from them for the very first time. I think you can also calculate these minutes and based on hours, and if calculation is different, you can surely write in the comment box, and how you are doing, you can express that also in the comment box. I would be waiting, right? Because this is something like sharing and discussing and getting knowledge. Because when I used to give my executives work, then they used to say, I have done 80 calls, I have done 100 calls. I always have a simple question with them. How you have done it? Tell me what all details you have taken on the call and how you have conversed it. I want to hear the recordings. Yes, because you have done those calls just to show in the evening that you have done so many calls. See, this is quality versus quantity. And how many turn-ups could be there? Very high chances when people are doing 80 or 100 calls that 20, 30, 40 calls are like call not paid, call not reachable, wrong number, he didn't respond, she didn't respond, he said he would be calling me, she said I have to call again, right? These kind of things are high. So this is only a number. When you see the reports, you will find these kind of calls only. When you will see the timing of the call, if they are of 10 minutes, then it is not at all possible to do this many calls in 7 or 8 hours. Means 80 calls into each call for the 10 minutes. You can't call people like this. You won't be able to do it, because when we are taking into minutes and hours, then it won't be possible, right? And it won't be a quality call. Okay, so this is, I wanted to focus that I am no one to tell you how many calls you have to do, but I wanted to put light into this because I have seen so many job postings where it's been written that 100 calls per day, 80 calls per day. I am puzzled that how they are doing and how they can do hiring, because hiring is such a responsible thing where you have to take the detail of the candidates, so many detail of the candidates, that you can't just simply ask few things in a rigid way and then hiring is done, right? You have to call, recall, and you have to do so many things, sometimes a random test, sometimes you need to send those tests, you need to call for the face-to-face or virtual interviews, right? So we need to call one candidate multiple times, right? And if we would be saying that we have called one candidate for the 4 times, then our managers would never accept it as 4 calls. Yes, they will say, okay, you have done 1 person 4 call, that will be 1 call. Normally it happens, right? And if managers are understanding this, this is very fine, as I used to understand, and I always understand my executives' words like this. Whenever they say that yes, they have done call to a person twice, then I understand, then I ask the conversation. What was the conversation and how much time you took, right? So you must go into depth when you are taking reports from your executives for the calling, right? Now this was just an intro to what I wanted to say. I wanted to give you another 5 key points that we need to consider while we are considering that how many calls our recruiters have done, right? So first is duration of call. As we have already discussed that the call is of how much duration. It is of 10 minutes, 8 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 15 minutes. Sometimes it happens that in case of senior professionals, we need to talk 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It happens, yes, it's very normal. Then what we will do? Then we would be counting how many calls are there, right? In that case, we can do only 10, 20 calls max if we are calling only to the senior professionals, right? So we need to consider duration of calls while we are calculating the calls per day. Okay. Second important thing is send outs. Now, what are the send outs? We need to send interview mails to them. We need to send sometimes JD to them. We need to send WhatsApp or SMS to them calling for the interview, right? Many times it happens that you would be calling a candidate and everything is fixed because you have screened the CV very well, and when you had a conversation and you are having interviews 3 days or in next week, so you have to send the mail, confirmation mail regarding the interview to the candidate. So this is my request, that never be in hurry to just finish up the calls and I would be doing all the reporting, or I would be doing all the mails, or I would be sending SMS or WhatsApp at what time? At 5 in the evening, or at 5:30, or at closing half an hour, or something like that. Do it that time only. When you have you had a conversation with a candidate, that time only just put your reports, just put it in your report that yes, this is the candidate we would be calling for the interview. What kind of report you wanted to create? I have already uploaded one session on how to make the calling sheet when you're calling when you're doing the cold calling, right? You can maintain that sheet, and at the same time what you have to do is you can do another thing, and that is you must send the mail, interview mail to the candidate at that time only, or SMS and WhatsApp. SMS and WhatsApp is also in trend, and a mail, right? So that your work is completed. Now this is my point, as I told you, as I requested you, that you must send the mail, SMS and WhatsApp at the same time. Then if you are devoting time to these activities, then these activities time should also be considered. Yes, you can't ignore, as a managers, we can't ignore that time also, because it will take some 2-3 minutes, okay, and that will also come from that 420 minutes only, okay. So we have to remember this. Third is trackers. We have to make so much reporting, recruitment trackers, as I told you, right? So that also, if we are preparing those trackers also, then it will take also time. It will take time, and that time should also be considered while we are calculating that time, right? So this should be considered. Second, fourth is bloopers. Bloopers are normally the mistakes. I've given this funny name as we give it in YouTube, right? So bloopers are the mistakes, or you can say the fall downs, or anything like wrong number, call not picked, or something like you had a conversation with the wrong guy, you had a conversation with the wrong gal, and then after the complete conversation, after 10 minutes, that person say, no, I'm not interested, or I'm not the right person to whom you're calling, right? These kind of things could be there. So these could be mistakes. So I have counted this in bloopers. These are normal. These can be on the daily basis. It could be that 2 or 3 people. It could be that we met over the phone, 2 to 3 people on the daily basis, or it could be a day where no one is there. Okay, so these are the normal things. And fifth is second call. So many people are there who had a conversation at 12 in the afternoon, and they will say that I need to talk about this at 5 p.m. because currently I'm in my office. We have discussed, but several things are there. I need to discuss at 5. So what you will do? You won't do second call. You will do, because if the candidate is right, if you are thinking that yes, this is the candidate, yes, he's interested, and the profile is okay, and it is as per right time, right person, right? If you're thinking this in your mind, then yes, you would be giving him time, and you would be calling him again, right? You would be calling him or her again. Okay, so high chances are there that there are second calls. People say that even if you call at 10 or 11, they're in offices, they will discuss certain things, and then they will say that I will be talking in lunch, and after lunch also they are having some few things remaining. They will call you after 4 or 5, like this. Okay, so these are the also calls which we need to consider. We won't be counting it in a different number. We won't be saying that yes, if you have called a person, one person 4 times, so okay, we are counting it 4 calls. Never, it never happens, as I told in starting. Okay, so we need to consider this also. As a manager, this video is especially, you can say the session is especially dedicated to my managers or coordinators who are giving executives work. They must understand that this is the position. Obviously, those managers also went through all this, as at some point of time I have also met through this. And today when my executives say that I have done those calls, I have done these many calls, then I have several questions with them. So you must question them based on these key points. You must try to understand how they are calling. They should not waste time. This is the main motive. They should not just saying every call, after every call, that this was not pegged, this was not reachable, this was wrong number. Okay, we must ask them regarding this also, right? So this was all from my side. If you think that this was helpful and you wanted to share something else, please do let me know in the comment box. I would be really happy. Thanks for watching, and yes, stay happy, stay safe. All the very best. Bye bye.